I've been helping London tourists to plan their trips to London for almost 10 years now, and there's a lot of stuff that you guys do that could potentially ruin your trip. And I will be damned if I'm gonna let that happen. So I'm gonna talk you through the signs that your trip is gonna end up being a disaster so you can course correct and end up having the best visit to London ever. And the first one is, you booked a hotel near the airport or on the outskirts of the city. It might seem like a good idea to book a hotel near Heathrow or Gatwick Airport for convenience, but the truth is you're actually gonna end up spending a lot more time commuting in and out of the city because both of those airports are not in London. And they're also in complete dead zones, so there's like literally nothing around when you're actually at the airport. And if you think that staying outside of London is gonna help you save on hotel costs, it can a little bit, but then you're also gonna increase your costs for travel because you're gonna have to be commuting in and out of the city, and those trains are not the cheapest in the world. Plus, you have to think about all of the extra time that you're gonna be spending doing that commuting in and out of the city, plus any extra tube or bus rides you have to do. Usually, it's not gonna be worth it. If you need help finding affordable hotels in the center of the city, I have an article or two on our website that names some great hotels that will not break the bank that I think you'll love. Link in the description box to see those. You think you'll only be eating British cuisine. Now, I get it, you're coming to the UK, of course you wanna try lots of British cuisine here, and London is a great place to do that, to try things like fish and chips or Sunday roast. But don't limit yourself. London has one of the most diverse food scenes in the world. We have some incredible stuff you can try here, from Indian curries to Middle Eastern meze to Southeast Asian street food. It's a lot of stuff that you probably can't get back home, so take advantage. And take it from a 12-year Londoner, British food does tend to skew greasy and beige, so having that a few days in a row does get kind of old fast. You've picked out places you definitely want to go, but you haven't worked out how to get between them all. Truly, London tourists do not understand until they get here just how widespread that London is. So you can't come here with a list of things to do and see and expect to just kind of like willy-nilly without a plan, like, oh, let's go to this one and let's go to this thing and let's eat here and let's do this. It doesn't work like that in the city. That's because you might want to get from point A to point B, and it's not actually just a short walk to get there. It could be like a 35-minute tube ride. And then if you have point C, point D, point E that you want to go to after, all on the same day, that time really adds up. So not only do you need to be making a daily plan of exactly what you want to do and see, you also need to use a tool like Google Maps to work out the distance between each of those things that you want to do. That you want to get to. There we go, we got it. Otherwise, you could end up late to reservations or ticket times, or you could just exhaust yourself going 30 minutes on the tube or bus between each thing that you want to see, and it's just like, you're crisscrossing around the city like a mad person. It's not like, even us Londoners don't want to do that. We avoid that at all costs. And yes, it takes a lot of time to properly plan your days. I totally get it. But keep in mind, I've already done this for you with my London itineraries, which go up to 6 days. Each day has a route planned and tested by me that has all the major sites you'll want to see, plus a bunch of amazing hidden gems along the way. It's a plan that makes sense and drastically reduces your transport and walking time. Plus, it's flexible, so you can tailor it to your interests and your budget. So go have a look at my London itineraries, which do have at the moment over 140 5-star reviews, by scanning the QR code here or clicking the link in the description box. Okay, the next sign is you're planning to wing it for meals and haven't made any reservations. The best restaurants in London are hard to get reservations for. That's just how it is, because both locals and tourists want to try them, especially at peak dining times like Friday nights and weekends. So if you're hoping to just wander into all those restaurants that you saved on TikTok without a reservation, you will be disappointed. So if you have any restaurants that you for sure want to make sure you get to, you should be trying to get reservations at least 2 to 3 weeks in advance. Now, of course, there are places that don't take any reservations at all, and there are ones that are really good, but you can tend to get into without booking too far ahead or booking ahead at all. But how do you know which ones are really good and also that you can manage to get into and just kind of wing it? Well, in my booking and tickets tracker, I have labels for every restaurant and food spot recommendation that I give you that tell you which places are walk-in okay or reservations needed. So you'll have all that information while you're doing your planning. Plus, you can use it when you're on the ground in London if you need something really last minute and something that you can just get a walk-in for. By the way, that booking and tickets tracker, that comes with my London itineraries and my casual tourist guides. So if you want that, have a look. You're too scared to take the tube or the bus. Okay, I appreciate that some people watching this are going to take taxis everywhere in London, either because you can afford it, so you just want to do it, or you have mobility issues, totally fine. But for the rest of you, I know London's public transport can feel overwhelming and confusing, but if that's the reason that you're not going to take it, it is going to drastically increase the costs of your trip, which isn't great, especially if you're on a budget. Our transport system is the most efficient way to get around the city, and it's also the cheapest, except for walking, that's obviously free. So if you can end up mastering it and using it, then you will save yourself. To calm your nerves and make you feel like, oh, I actually think I could get on transportation, I have a ton of videos on this channel that you can watch to better familiarize yourself with how it all works. Or if you want a detailed, concise crash course, then have a look at my London transport guide. It's in our shop. You booked an Airbnb or similar for the summer or winter. Now, if you've been around here for a while, you might already know that I don't recommend Airbnb or similar services like Booking.com or Plum Guide for your trip to London. And that's for a variety of reasons. But one of them is that we don't really do air conditioning here in the UK. So if you go for Airbnb or similar, chances are the place that you rent will not have air conditioning. And if you're from a place that you're pretty used to having air conditioning, then you're not gonna like it if you end up here during a warm spell. On the flip side, if you book for the winter, while we do have heating here, a lot of the buildings in London are really, really old, which means a lot of the homes in London are susceptible to dampness and also are just not really good at keeping the heat in. So even if you crank the heat up really high, it tends to be really cold in the flat. If you want to stay in an apartment style or house style accommodation in London, there are a couple of alternatives. A lot of hotels and also apart hotels offer things that feel like you're staying in a flat, like kitchens, living rooms, multiple bedrooms. You can go with those, and those tend to have air conditioning and also effective heating. We have a couple of articles on our website of hotels and apart hotels that are set up like that we recommend, so go have a look at that after you watch this video. Your accommodation doesn't allow for early check-in or late checkout. This is another con of using Airbnb or a similar service. Generally, you won't be able to check in early if you arrive early, and they will not allow you to push your checkout time or store your luggage anywhere. That's obviously a pain if you land at Heathrow at 6:30 in the morning from your overnight long flight on which you barely slept a wink, and you're like, I would love to just crawl into bed for a half hour and have a nap. And you get to your accommodation at 7 a.m. and they're like, nope, sorry, you can't check in till 3. That is such a pain. Whereas hotels and apart hotels, if they have an alternative room available early, they'll usually switch you over to that room and let you check in early. And they usually offer the option to do late checkout if there's availability. And even having a couple of extra hours before your late night flight to just like relax, pack your stuff up, not have to lug your bags out, I think that's really helpful. Also, hotels and apart hotels will usually let you store your luggage and sometimes overnight if you need to, whereas Airbnbs, they will not allow that. You're not planning your itinerary based on optimal days. I noticed that a lot of tourists, when they're planning their trips, kind of assume that everything they want to see is going to be open every single day of the week, which often isn't the case. And also that they don't plan their trips considering when the best day is to go to certain things and when is best to avoid. Like, for example, do not go to Borough Market on a weekend under any circumstances because the crowds are uncomfortable and you'll wait like a half hour for the popular foods that people want to get. Meanwhile, actually, if you had just planned to go at like 11 a.m. on a Monday or Tuesday, it's pretty quiet and manageable. But how are you supposed to know stuff like that if you don't live here? And well, TikTok videos and Google aren't really gonna give you that like really hyper local knowledge. Well, I have the Which Day Should You Do It guide, which takes the guesswork out and it tells you which days of my London itinerary to do on which days a week and which ones to avoid. So you can avoid the crowds and also make sure that you're not showing up to things and you're like, oh, this is closed on Wednesdays. I didn't know that. You're not leaving some downtime each day. London has so much to do, and I know it's really tempting to want to cram as much as you can into each of your days of your London trip. But this is exactly how you get burnout on a trip. You'll be rushing from one place to the next, and then by the time you get to dinner, you and your travel buddies will just sit at dinner in silence because you're too exhausted to talk to each other. This happened when I went to, actually it was the first time I ever went abroad. I went to Italy with my family and we did this like whirlwind 11-day guided tour trip. And by day 5, we were so tired. We were just like, don't look at me. I don't want to speak to you. I don't want to speak to anyone. I just want to go to bed even though it's 7 p.m. So to avoid feeling like you need a vacation from the vacation, make sure you schedule in some downtime each day of your trip. That way you can have some time to just sit at a cafe and do some people watching, or go for a walk in one of our many beautiful parks, or even just to lay down and close your eyes in your hotel room just to rest for a little bit. These moments of relaxation will help you recharge, making sure that you actually enjoy all of your trip, and also that you have some time to spend with your travel buddies so that you actually like bond and enjoy your company. You've not packed nicer clothing options. Now, I've changed my tune on this over the years because the niceness and like the vibe of how people dress in London honestly varies significantly these days, kind of depending on like what venue you're going to and also what area of London that you're gonna be in. So for example, I live over in East London. It's very casual around here. I'm basically the only person who ever wears heels around. Meanwhile, in West London, people dress up a lot nicer. They like the classic look. People are definitely like fancier. So what was the point of me talking about this? So basically, it can vary a lot. But as a tourist, there are a few times where you're definitely gonna want to make sure you've brought some nicer clothes with you. And let me tell you about which ones those are. Afternoon tea. This is generally seen as a more luxurious experience, especially because most of the afternoon teas are hosted in some of the most luxurious hotels in all of London. So you'll definitely wanna be dressed up for that. And some places like the Ritz do have a dress code that you need to follow. Luxury restaurants. Some will have a dress code, others you're just gonna wanna be a little bit more dressed up just because that's how like the rest of the clientele will be. Plus, I think it's fun after a long day of sightseeing to go back to your hotel, get all dressed up and go to a nice dinner. Nice cocktail bars. Generally, if you're going to like a trendier place or somewhere that's in, again, a luxury hotel, you'll wanna be dressed up a bit nicer. Going to see the theater or a West End show. So this is actually optional. Some people are totally casual when they go to the theater here, but a lot of people also like to make like an evening of going to the theater. So they'll do a nice dinner and then they'll go to the theater and then they'll be dressed up for that. So you might wanna also dress up. I like to dress up when I go to the theater. It just feels like it makes it a bit of a different night than every other night that happens in London. So you choose. By the way, if you're planning on going to the theater, I have a whole video guide about things to know before you book London theater tickets and before you come to London to see a show. So you can watch that by clicking the box that's popping up over here. And don't forget, you can grab my London itinerary, where I've basically just planned your trip for you, by scanning the QR code that's popping up there. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.